On today's episode of the NBA Draft Junkies podcast, I'm your host, James Barlowe. I got my guy, Latif Love here, special guest. About to have him on, feels like all week for Feast Week, so up and coming voice. But today we're going to talk about Feast Week. Stay tuned. All right, big shout out to everyone tuning in and listening. Again, got a special guest this week, Latif Love. Latif, where can we find you at before we get started on today's podcast?
On Twitter, real Latif Love, LATIFLOV, as you can probably see on the screen. And my Substack is Love My Takes, where I talk the NBA draft. Just hit 1,000 followers, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm actually feeling pretty good. A lot of my stuff has been gaining traction recently, so appreciate James for having me on to talk college basketball, where I'm trying to grow in the space and get better at evaluating and all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, Latif is one of the upcoming voices. I say that like I'm an OG out here, but he's one of the upcoming voices. Definitely worth a follow. Not afraid to speak his mind, have his own opinion. So, all right, enough of all that nice talk. Let's get right to it. Nate Ament had his first test. Well, it was supposed to be a test against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. I guess no disrespect to Rutgers. Maybe they didn't, or the players era didn't look at that schedule or look at that roster and see that Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper weren't playing because Rutgers did not look good. And you know who knows how it was, but they're fresh off of losing to I believe Central Connecticut State in their prior game. When Central Connecticut State played today, they weren't, well, they were part of Feast Week, but they weren't part of Players Era. But they won. They beat Sacred Heart, I believe, 106-102. Sacred Heart is 2-4. I mean, you can take what you want from that. But Rutgers didn't put up a fight, and that's no fault of Nate Ament. He did what he had to do. Nate Ament, he finished with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 7-14 shooting, 4-6 from 3. He did most of his damage in the first half. I believe they were up 24-26 at halftime, 50-30, 58-30, something like that. It was ugly early on. So, Latif, what are your thoughts on Nate Ament?
I really like Nate Ament. I had him top five at some point in the summer. Then I moved him down. Um, as far as this game, I think he started off pretty timid. He was passing some open shots, and then
Definitely.
Rick Barnes got on him a little bit, and then he began to be more aggressive. They included him in some off ball actions, and he started to get his threes up. What I like about Nate Ament is I think his touch is among the best in the class, especially from the mid range area and from three as well. I think he's going to do a lot of his best work off the ball, and I think he did a lot of his best work off the ball in this game. If he's shooting aggressive, like with any space, that's where he brings the most value. In the second half, though, he shot 1 for 5, and on the game, he shot 3 from 8 from 2. And coming into this game, he's been struggling at finishing at the rim. We obviously know that was a struggle of his coming into Tennessee. He's put on weight, which seems to help him, but he's still struggling to finish at the rim. And so that's really my main kind of problem with Nate Ament. I think off the ball as a play finisher, and you can obviously draw some actions for him. He's really good. He's a really good shooter. Hopefully, he can begin to attack closeouts and stuff like that. But as a 2 point scorer, I do have some concerns, and it showed in the second half. I mean, obviously, it didn't matter; they were blowing him out, so I can't take much from it. But on the game, he did shoot 3 for 8 from 2. He shot 4 for 6 from 3. So I thought that he started slow, came into his own, and helped them break away the game in the first half. He had some nice passes as well. And the defense was pretty good as well. So I think that's what Nate Ament is for me. I have him as a top 10 prospect in his class. It's going to be super play finisher. That's a plus defender. That's my vision for Nate Ament. I know people have compared him to Zachary Richardson. I think you guys did that. I think
Yeah, I think we did do that. Yeah.
I watched the video. You guys did do that. I don't. I just think they look alike. To be honest, they got they are similar size, and they got a kind of like a similar play style. But I don't think he's Zachary Richardson. I think he's a much better prospect than him. To be honest, I think he's a better shooter. Clearly, I think he's a better defender. Clearly, I think he's a better passer. Pretty clearly. Now they do have some like the same play styles where they are all ball wings. Um, but if anything, I think he's an upgraded version of that. So definitely first high major game of the season for Nate Ament. I think
Yes.
Rutgers isn't good, but he was good in his game. So shout out him.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I had him as a top 10 pick coming in, and I wrote a pretty good, I thought it was a pretty good article. I mean, I read it. Shoot, my wife read it. It was on my Substack, and how I think the Kevin Durant comparisons are just flat out unfair. Because I mean, yeah, they both play for Rick Barnes, but that's kind of like that's it. Like they play for Rick Barnes and they both play basketball. He's not as quick, handles not as good, and this isn't to discredit Nate Ament. I just do think, like you said, I think he's a play finisher, better off the ball. It looks like they're moving him more off the ball than what they were doing earlier on in the season, and it looked like they were trying to put him into that playmaking wing box. I just don't think that is who he is, and I do think he does show flashes of being maybe an unselfish or a ball mover, not necessarily a playmaking wing, but he was good. He was good today, and he's going to have his real tests. Obviously, they play at Auburn, not Auburn, excuse me. They play Houston tomorrow at 5 Central Time. That's going to be an interesting game because Houston's physical, and while he has added weight, like this is going to be a real test to see if his mentality has changed, if he's going to be able to get to the basket. In my notes, I have him down as just, again, I'm buying his shooting long term, buying the defense. I do like how he rebounds, pushes up the court, but like you mentioned before, I am going to monitor his rim efficiency. Being if you're chasing him off the line as a opposing team, like I think that's what you want from him. Even though he just started to shoot the ball well from three, but I definitely want to like keep tabs on how he's able to finish in traffic. I mean, like, cause at on the Adidas circuit, he flat out struggled, and I don't necessarily think that was all just because of strength. I just think that he has a tendency to drive into angles to shoot pull up jumpers rather than to try to turn the corner, and he doesn't have like a lot of lift in traffic. But Nate Ament, I think he's a top 10 pick. I'll be putting out a big board probably December 1st, and we'll see where I have him at. Maybe outside of the top 5, but I do think he's gonna be a really good player in the NBA.
Yeah, right now he's shooting 46.7% at the rim and 42.9% on layups. Like you said, I don't think it's all just because of his strength. I think he doesn't have a lot of bend, a lot of fluidity, flexibility, um, burst. It's like a lot of things you need to be a really good finisher, a really good shot creator in the league, especially. He just doesn't possess that. So I think it's just important not to bash him or anything like that, but to make sure we keep the conversation around him grounded and keep the expectations around him realistic. And so we have to make these declarations about who he is as a player to keep the conversation, because the conversation can get crazy about these prospects. I mean, we're not talking about Caleb Wilson today, but we will be talking about him at some point this week. Is he
Yes,
number one pick? No. But that's a conversation for another day. So my whole point is we got to keep these conversations grounded in reality. Like that's what we got to do with these prospects. So he's definitely his struggles at the rim are continuing in college, and I think a lot of his offensive process where he's not creating a lot of separation on these mid range looks that he's taking either. It's like if you can't create separation against college athletes, I'm skeptical of what you're gonna be able to do in the league. So
I I agree, and even then, like it sounds like we're nitpicking, but like a lot of the free throws he has drawn, they're not because the defense he's making the defense like bend. I think a lot of them are just bad fouls. Is late in the teams are like late in the bonus or approaching the bonus and he's drawing fouls. And again, you don't knock him for that because, that's just what it is. But it's like you have to, in this particular draft, especially like on Twitter, like it seems like if you say something about somebody who is projected to be a top whatever pick, it's like, oh, you're nitpicking, but like you have to nitpick. This is a very strong draft class. So But Nate Ament he's going to be fine. Like I said, tomorrow though is going to be a really big test. Now you did mention that you think that his teammate Jacoby Gillespie. Actually, I'll let you share your thoughts on Jacoby Gillespie.
Jacoby Gillespie. I've been watching him for 3 years because he played in MVC, which Bradley plays in at Belmont 2 years ago. Made the transition to Maryland. Was really good last year. Was one of the most underrated guards in the country last year. And I think that if he continues the pathway he's been on this season, he can be a first round pick, probably in the late first round as an older guard. But he can score it really well. He can pass it really well. Has grown as a 3 point shooter, and has balanced his finishing with his 3 point shooting. I think he has really good touch, really good passing ability. Doesn't turn the ball over a ton. He's not. He's obviously undersized, but he has strength and he has pace. So I don't have him there right now, but a lot of people I talk to, a lot of smart people I talk to, think that he can be a late first round pick, maybe even higher if he continues to play this well. I think he's been Tennessee's best player this year. I think he's been one of the best guards in the country this season so far, and he had it going obviously against Rutgers. I think he had 32 points. He shot 6 or 10 from three. Really broke his game open for uh, Tennessee, and I think he's really good at getting people the ball in the spots. He's really good at getting to the paint and finding his teammates. So I think similar to like Dalton Connect and Chaz Lanier that we've seen from Tennessee is that he's going to be able to be the engine for Rick Barnes' offense, and that'll give him draft buzz this draft cycle.
Yeah, he is 6 feet, or they list him at 6 feet tall. So, when you're 6 feet tall in today's NBA, you got to be almost a perfect basketball player.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, he'll definitely have an opportunity tomorrow, along with Nate Ament against Houston. Moving on, the Baylor Bears beat Creighton Blue Jays. Creighton's from my hometown, Omaha, Nebraska. But Baylor outlasted Creighton with standout performances from Baylor shooting guard, small forward, whatever you want to call him, Cameron Carr. He had 21 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 stocks. He shot 8 free throw attempts, but somehow he scored 21 and didn't shoot a three the entire game. What are your thoughts on Cameron Carr, Latif?
I'm getting dangerously high on Cameron Carr.
What's dangerously high, man? Because this is my show, man. We we got to
I mean,
stand on it.
I just put out a board on Friday, which I mean that was more like a preliminary board, preseason board. I really don't really want to index on like these small sample sizes, but I think Cameron Carr is gonna be a lottery pick in this draft class. I really do think
That's
so.
not dangerous, man.
I don't know. That is. I mean, right now, I mean, he came in the when he came into the season. Was he on anybody's draft board? I don't think
No,
so.
he was not. But one thing that I've learned is that, like, you put out and I tried not to, but my brother, shout out to my brother, works for the Mavs, but he's like, you got to put out a big board, even though you don't want to put one out, a preseason one, because again, like the McDonald's All Americans, the freshmen that come in every year, like somebody is going to hit the portal. Somebody is not going to be as good as we thought they were, and that's just the nature of the draft. Like you're moving up a level. So he wasn't on my board, but like you said, I have him in my lottery right now. So, and
Yeah.
I'm like firm on that because is just too much talent to deny. He's 6'5", 6'6". People love the wingspan, and I get it. I'm not I mean, measurements are cool, but like it's what you do with the measurements for me. And like he gets every bit out of his athleticism. Like there was a play late in the game where he pushed the ball. They were up. Creighton was kind of like halfway trying to foul. He was trying to force a turnover, and I don't think it was the best shot, but he drove the length of the floor, missed the layup, and he got his own rebound, and he was off the ground way faster than anybody else. But like him being able to rebound, uh, create defensive, possessions with the steals and the stocks, and like I said, he had 21, didn't take a three, but he's shooting ridiculously high on the season from three. Like he looks like a lottery pick to me, and I don't think that you look crazy by having him in your lottery right now. Like he is to me their best prospect, like by far. Baylor's best prospect.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, I am getting like dangerously high on him. I think if he finished in my top 10, I don't know exactly where. I'll talk about the things I want to see him add to his game as the season goes on. But I love players with long wingspans. I think they have a high hit rate. The wings. Someone made a post about this on Twitter, but the guys that have like the 7'2" plus wingspan, they have a really high hit rate. You see with Cedric Coward, who I wish I was higher on, and I wrote a
Where
whole
were you
article.
at on him?
I think I had him like 20 something. I'm not gonna lie.
You should have been
Yes,
watching us, man. We
no,
had him in the lottery, man.
I
I'm
watch,
just
I
playing
watch,
with
I
you.
watch you guys interview with him. I do my research, do my homework. I was
It's important to have your own opinion. It's way
yeah.
more important to have your own opinion.
I really like Cedric Coward, and on my Twitter, I had like, oh, I think Cedric Coward is going to be a good player. He's going to be a rotational player for a team, or like a really good role player for a team. In my, I did a scouting report on him for a website. I was really high on him, and he had year over year like improvements every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Added to the game, was really efficient throughout his whole college career. My thing is like the sample size in his last season was just so low. That's
Mm-hmm.
what really got me, to be honest. But he had all the tools to be a high quality role player. I think that's what he can be. And we may have slept on his upside a little bit, because if he starts creating his own shot in the league, I, I opened my article with him, like comparing his measurements to Kawhi Leonard. And I'm not gonna say he's gonna be Kawhi Leonard, but I don't know, man. Development is a tricky thing. But back to Cameron Carr. My point is, I think players with that wingspan, they have a really high hit rate. They just do that. They pan out for some reason pretty nicely. And he's been shooting the cover off the ball. He's a freak athlete, like really really good athlete. He would dunk on you. He's been really good attacking the rim. He's been really good off the catch. He's not creating his own shot all the times, but he's getting the ball, either shooting it or attacking. He's really really good in stampede actions. And obviously the wingspan has enabled him to be a highly disruptive defender. So
Did
just
you see
that
the block he had at the end of the game where I think he was in help side on a corner defender and the ball was swung to the wing and I think he took like a half step and he blocked the jumper. Like that's amazing.
his strides are insane. Like especially as a driver and as a defender, his strides are so long. They're insane. He's pretty quick too.
Yeah.
I see on film. He's pretty quick as well. So 6'6", probably 7'2", maybe even longer wingspan. Athlete, can shoot it. Can attack off the catch. That's a really really good NBA player. That's a really really good NBA player. I'm waiting. I'm trying to see if he can and improve his handle, create his own shot a little bit more. The playmaking is not there. I think before this game, he had like a 0.4 assist turnover ratio. That's I want to see him be able to pass the ball more, create his own shot, but he has the outline of a really really good NBA player. Have no idea what Rick Barnes was doing, at all. The last
I
two
mean,
games.
but sometimes, man, it just takes guys a little longer to, figure things out. I don't necessarily think that it's. I mean, maybe he just wasn't ready. I know he had a thumb injury his sophomore year, and then really, like, if you look at him, if he lacked any confidence, they brought in Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect was fresh off of, lighting it up at, I believe it was in Northern Colorado, and then he came in, and that's who you're competing with. Dalton Connect was very high on a lot of people's boards, and he was a big time scorer. So I just think basketball just has a way of working itself out. Like where you're supposed to be, you're supposed to be. I got an article coming out about some guys who are like, what? Like, where did these guys come from? But it's just like just the timing of it. It is what it is. But Cameron Carr looks like he's really good at basketball, really legit. They got Creighton. Actually, not Creighton tomorrow. They have St. John's tomorrow, so they'll have another test, and we'll see how it goes for him. But like I said, I don't think that it's a surprise. Like I think after, I saw the preseason hype, and I was like, it's preseason, exhibition, and then I forget what game it was. I was like, oh yeah, that's legit. Then he obviously played well against Washington, so big fan of his. But we got to talk about his teammate Tunde Yusufa. Tunde Yusufa, McDonald's All American, all time leading scorer in California state history. That includes guys like Gilbert Arenas, shoot, even Elijah Arenas, Paul Pierce, Baron Davis. Like, I'm aging myself here, but Tunde Yusufa is the all time leading scorer. But in my eyes, I think he has struggled at Baylor. I came into the season having some concerns about just not necessarily his overall feel for the game, but I think he was for one, whether however you weigh it, he was an older freshman, or he is an older freshman. And I watched his high school film, his AAU film, and it just looked like he was just way more physically advanced than everybody else. It wasn't a lot of skill for somebody his size. So I think he's going to measure at about 6'4", 6'5", but he had that combo forward skill set where it's just like, obviously he's a better athlete than everybody, but a lot of bully ball, out of control. I'm just gonna out athlete you, and I feel like he's still trying to do the same thing now at Baylor, and he's just flat out struggled. Today he shot, I believe, 4 of 12 from the field. He made two threes, but he struggles to. I don't think he has an identity as a basketball player outside of just being really, really athletic. So, what are your thoughts on Tunde Yusufu?
I had Tunde Yessefou in my top 14 coming to the class. Now I understand everything you said, and I wholeheartedly agree. I think that while he was the leading scorer in California history, a lot of it was in transition. A lot of it was, like you said, bully ball. But I think that in a scaled down road, Tuna can be a really good player in the NBA. I think he's definitely struggled offensively. I think he's really far away offensively. He's really far away offensively. I think he had a barely positive assist to turnover ratio. I know some people don't like that as an indicator of playmaking prowess, but I do. I think he like a few times today, players is wide open. He's not finding them. He's trying. Yeah, he has a whole bunch of
He,
scoring blindness, and he's not. I don't really think he's like a guard. To be honest, like
He's a four. He's a modern four, not an
I would
old
say
school four.
I think he's a three. But
It's a
he
lot of 3.5 in his game, man. Like if you look at on the synergy, like I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I want to say like his shot types are like offensive rebounds, transition, cutting. He plays a lot like the dude that you hide in the NBA that can't shoot, and just says, you go play off of those guys, and you end up with 12. And then maybe that's who he is. I think the shooting can come around, but I do think his it's not my notes. I compare him to like a Lou Dort. Like Lou Dort averaged 20 at
definitely
Arizona State, right? And none of that translated to the NBA because that's not what they're going to pay him for. It wasn't efficient at Arizona State, and that's not where the money is. And there's no shame in that. You want to get paid. You want to have a long career. I think long term he's more Lou Dort than if you look at him and you never saw him before and you think he looks like Anthony Edwards. He's not Anthony Edwards. Like not even close. Like they're both black. That's really the only thing that they have in common aside the wristband and the taper. But if when he accepts the Lou Dort role at the next level, he'll be perfectly fine.
and that's what I mean. That's what I think the consensus is around the space. I think that people understand that he is not Anthony Edwards; that he's more like a Lou Dort player. I've heard that from several people. I've said it myself. But I think that we got whatever draft class Lou Dort was in, he probably returned top 10 value.
Yeah, top 10 value. Yeah. I
Yes,
mentioned that on my
that's why I have
preseason
him.
pod.
That's why I have him in my top my lottery because I feel like if in a scale down road, his defense can be really good. Today I didn't think it was great, but he did have three steals in a block I think, or three steals and two blocks. I
Hmm.
think he was out of position at times and he was over aggressive at times. But the defense playmaking was on display. He has that body type as well, that chiseled frame, and he's athletic. If he can harness that into a lower esteem role, I think he can be better than Lou Dort. I think he can be Lou Dort plus. The defense is probably won't be as good. Lou Dort is a elite defender. He's been the elite defender for like 5, 6 years now. But I think he's gonna be better at the rim than Lou Dort. Lou Dort is notoriously not good at the rim. I think his handle in terms of like attacking closeouts and stuff like that can be better than Lou Dort. He's gonna be much better in transition than Lou Dort. So I think he can be Lou Dort plus. And that player I think is a lottery pick in any given draft because he's gonna return value. I think that Tunde he provides value in a lot of places. Offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, transition, steals. He play finishing. Um, 3 point shot, I think, has a chance of being at least average, maybe above average, probably not above
Mm-hmm.
average. But Lou Dort is one of the fakest 40% 3 point shooters ever. It's because nobody guards him, and he shoots 40% of wide open threes. It's
Man,
not
you
like
got a lot of slander for Lou Dort. I mean, Lou Dort probably used to tell you like, "Yo, man, I averaged 17 one year in the NBA." Now they were a bad Thunder team, but
that's
he
cool.
averaged 17.
I think he. I mean, I don't. This is not about Lou Dort, but I think he's expendable because of Casey Wallace. But that's neither here nor there.
You think
Um,
he's what?
Expendable because of Casey Wallace. The Thunder cap sheet is getting. They're gonna have to move off somebody,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
probably
yeah, yeah. But that was definitely the plan though
yeah.
for them.
Sure. But yeah, Tunde, I think very far away offensively in terms of him being any type of creator. A team shouldn't draft him to be that. And Loki, I can see him falling in the draft because I don't think a team's gonna want to take Lou Dort probably until like late in the
I and I 100% get that because you feel like you can go make a Lou Dort. You don't necessarily have to take a Lou Dort. So, but like you said, he does the defense. I'm not worried about that at all. It's just a matter of him buying into whatever role like he needs to play. I got to see him at the McDonald's All American game, and him and Darren Peterson, I believe, were on the same team, and they look like two prime DBs out there. Like it looked like Revis on one side and pick your other favorite DB. Like they were just getting steals like crazy. But on the offense end, it was he's just raw and so sometimes I guess it may depend on the team that drafts them. Sometimes guys get drafted in situations where they may be forced to do more than what they need to, but I do think he is Lou Dort. So, anybody stand out for you at Creighton? I tweeted out Hudson Greer. He's somebody that a lot of people like. I was trying to figure out why he was a red shirt and why he just burned his red shirt. Like he looked like a really good player. I saw him play last All-Star break, I believe was for Montverde. And he looks like the prototypical 3-and-D guy, and he can attack closeouts. Good athlete. I need to do some research and figure out why they're trying to put a red shirt on him because he can play.
yeah they
Thoughts on Creighton guys?
um yeah Hudson Greer, I like him. I don't think he's this year.
No, 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 no. But long term, I think he will have an opportunity.
Yeah, this is a guy Hudson Greer that like down the road can be a first round pick. In terms of being able to stretch the floor, play defense, has the size, and obviously, like you said, can attack closeouts. Josh Dix, I think he came over from Iowa. If I'm not
Man,
mistaken.
he was somebody on my radar. Sorry to cut you off. He's somebody on my radar. Played well in Iowa. He's struggling from the 3-point line, but you can tell like he can play. He's not just a 3-point shooter. He's more of a scorer because he was doing some damage today in the mid range. He just has the 3-point shot has to get back to what it was at Iowa. But he's somebody I think has a chance. If not drafted, he'll be a G League two-way guy at some point because he is a really good shooter. And guys who can shoot that can score as well, besides staying in the corner, they get opportunities.
Yeah, I think Dix can be he can be like a second round guy, maybe like you said, G League, 2 way. I know a lot of analytical people love him
Mm-hmm.
for what he was able to do, especially in the beginning of the season last year at Iowa. So yeah, I'm looking out for him. I think his name is Greaves as well. At Creighton, looking out
Mm-hmm.
for him. So they got a few like borderline like NBA guys that I'll be watching for this season as like sleeper picks. Um, so yeah, outside of that was pretty much it.
Gotcha. Moving on. Let's talk about and let's I got a lot to say about them. But let's briefly touch on the Kansas Jayhawks who are playing without Darren Peterson. Flory Bidunga looks like he's making himself money every night. He had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks. Bryson Tiller chipped in 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. But it looks like Flory Bidunga is the guy. I do like Tiller. I do like his ability to stretch the floor. But Flory Bidunga, man, he gets to his right shoulder. He's gonna fit. He made a right hand. He did spin back to the baseline and did make a right hand shot against Notre Dame. But he's definitely a one hand bandit, shot blocker, extreme athlete. He runs the floor. He sprints the floor. Is he a late first round pick talent, early second to you? What are your thoughts on Flory?
Yeah, Florida's a late first round, early second type of guy. Generally though, I want to say that I think this Derek Peterson injury was almost a blessing in disguise because this team has grown up pretty quickly from season.
Forced to.
They've improved pretty quickly this season. I was really concerned with the amount of talent that Darren has around him. I'm not really a fan. I'm not really a fan of like prospects. I like getting out the mud. I would like them to not have to like do super everything. Some people like that, but like they just struggle generally without him. So I think that having to play without him, like competing with Duke, that was really impressive without him being on the
Hmm.
floor, and then obviously getting his win against Notre Dame. As far as Flory though, I think his touch has really improved this year. Did not expect that. Passing ability has really improved like over as well. He made a few like cross court reads in
Yeah.
games. I was like, wow, I didn't even know he had that in his bag. I think he's averaging like 18, like 2.3 assists over the last 3 games. Obviously, a really good defender, really good rebounder, really good rim protector. So I think at minimum he could be like a rotational big for a team. I wish he was bigger. Definitely needs to put on some weight.
Yeah.
But athlete, rim protector, and can showing he can score it a bit. So dunked on Cam Boozer. That was very watch honestly. But Flory has stepped up. Bryson Tiller. Um,
I like Bryson Tiller, man. I know he's a redshirt freshman, but 6'9", 6'10" guys that can knock down jumpers.
Gotta
There's
see
room
more what
for him.
he can do inside the arc. How much defensive value he provides.
Yeah.
That, but yeah, Bryson Tiller is a guy you can be watching. So, not hopefully they can continue to improve so that Darren could be in a tournament. Um, very disappointed with what Cole Rosario has done this season. Um,
Yeah, man. I know he had a lot of buzz. He reclassed up because he had a strong start to the EYBL, but I don't want to say he doesn't have it, but you could tell like he may not be ready, may not have been ready. Even just evident with that Louisville game, like he came in with the rep as being the shooter, and he just the nerve. Again, it's one game. That's a hostile environment. It's your first college game. I get it, but yeah, he hasn't really lived up to some of the hype that he did have. I know a lot of people were high on him. Now, Cole Rosario, I mean, maybe he figures out a little later. Maybe he's probably somebody that needs to play with Darren, and Darren's gravity probably settles in, but he hasn't looked like what a lot of people thought he would. But it's still early for a lot of guys. Maybe he turns a corner. We'll see how it goes. All right, moving on from Kansas, let's get right to the Houston Cougars, who beat in overtime Syracuse Orangemen. I saw some dudes dressed up at the game, had the full Syracuse fit, so I thought that was kind of funny. But this looks like this was the second test, I believe, for the Houston Cougars, they come in as a top 3 team in the nation. Kingston Flemings rising up the draft boards, 9 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists on 3 of 11 shooting. He was 2 for 4 from three, 1 for 4 from the free throw line. I'll go first. I thought Kingston. I did not think he played well today in the grand scheme of things. Again, the box score doesn't look too bad. He didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but I think that he got sped up a lot. And for a guy who is extremely fast, he's probably got one of the best first steps we've seen in a very long time. I don't think that he did a good job, especially in the second half, of like controlling his pace. Like they sped him up, and that's when the turnovers happened. And I believe it happened against Auburn too in that second half. It's kind of like the second half teams adjust to him, and he doesn't quite make that adjustment. But I do think he threw some great passes today. Maybe they didn't end up in assists. He did hit. He drove left, threw a bullet pass to Milos that was a catch and shoot three in the first half. That was a good pass. He had another play through a left hand pass. I think the guy missed it, but I do think he's a good passer. A lot of his playmaking comes from him getting downhill because he's so fast. But I do think that he did get sped up a lot this evening. against Syracuse. So that's something to keep an eye on. And really, like those really fast guards, it's just hard for them to realize that your kind of fast is still way faster than everybody else. So I think his change of pace is a bit inconsistent right now. But what are your thoughts on Kingston Flemings? And
I was
really his just meteoric rise. Meteoric rise depending on who you ask. What are your
I,
thoughts?
I was gonna say the same thing. I don't think he controls his speed really well. I think he has one gear right now.
I
Um,
think it's inconsistent. But you know what though? I think against the teams that aren't as good, he understands that it doesn't take much. But it
yeah,
feels like the as the competition has ramped up, he's just been fast, and you just can't be fast. But go ahead.
I think Houston is overrated. That's another thing. I don't know why they're not the third best team in the country, but that's neither here nor there. Kingston Flemings, I had him 13th on my board. I think he is a walking paint touch, and we love it out of guards. He's a really good passer. He shot 72% from the at the rim in his final
Yeah,
season.
we knew that was coming down though.
Yeah, he shot 72% at the rim in his last season in high school. He was shooting like before this game like 90% at the rim, something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
He's insane in terms of getting to the rim, and that's it's really good in terms. Like, he's not like the biggest guy. He's 6'3", about 170. So it's really just speed and athleticism in terms of him getting to the paint. My biggest thing for him is I want to see how he continues to grow as a shooter. Obviously, can operate in the mid range, but today I did feel like he got sped up a lot. It was in the first half. It was in the second half. They were really aggressive with him. I think the whole team as a whole they overlooked Syracuse. I mean, Donnie Freeman was out, and Syracuse brought it
hmm
today. I like Kingston Fleming as a person that has a combination of finishing and playmaking, and his swing skill is obviously the shooting and his ability to put on weight.
I think they. So I know he was, and I was. So on my preseason, I'm a fan of his. I had the opportunity not to see him in person, but he played against some of the little homies I know down here when he was like a sophomore. And I was watching some of their tape trying to help them out with something. I was like, yo, who's this skinny little light skinned dude with the dreads like this? Like, man, that little dude is good. I think he had like a triple double as like a sophomore. San Antonio Brand. They had a couple of other guys that were really good too. And I want to say he came into his freshman year at Houston at 170. I think they're listing him at 190. It doesn't look like a 190.
No, it's
I
not.
mean, but he's wiry. So regardless of how much weight he actually has been able to put on, how much muscle he has been able to put on, it's not gonna look like maybe what you think it would because he's just not naturally like cut up. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a skinny dude that's had to put on some weight. So I don't know how much he actually weighs. The strength and conditioning coach, they always gas it up and say, he put on 15 pounds of muscle in 2 weeks. And they, Houston, not saying that they're lying, but they're really good at telling you like, yo, our strength and conditioning coach is excellent. Then, they got the dudes with the wingspan, shirtless and all that other crazy stuff. But I had to move him up. I initially thought he was going to be a 2027 guy just because I thought the weight wasn't going to be able to get on him as fast. But now I do have him as a 2026 guy. I had moved him up to like my late lottery, and like you mentioned before, the 3-point shooting. But now after these last couple of games, I want to see his pace improve because you just can't win. I mean, again, the speed is great, but like if he has Tyrese Maxey's first step. Tyrese is hard to guard because he can go by you, and again, he eventually grew into what he is now, which is basically unguardable. But he can go by you with a blur, but also like he is a 3-point threat as well, and that's what Kingston is not really. At least not off the dribble unless it's like late in the shot clock. And I also think that Kingston might need to add more side to side handle into his game. Right now, it's just
His handle's not great. It's not.
because he's just been fast his whole life. And I don't think he has enough side to side. And I think that's why he is probably deferring a lot late in the games to some of the older guys, not because they're better than them, but I see him calling for a screen a lot instead of just beating the guy off the dribble because he's the fastest guy in the course. So those are things that I'm trying to monitor as he continues to grow. What are your thoughts on his teammate Chris Cenac Jr.?
I know you're pretty high on Chris Cenac. I'm not. Um,
I have him at like 10, so that's. But go ahead.
I think that's pretty high. Personally, I got Cenac at like 20. Um, I think that Cenac is one of those bigs where he's like a tweener. Um, and that's my problem with him. He had a good
So
start.
wait, what are your thoughts on Hans Steinbach then? I'm not to say he's a tweener, but like he doesn't block
I think
shots.
I think that he can play the five. So
He can rebound. Yeah. Go ahead though. We'll get to Hans. We'll get. We have plenty of time. It's it's feast week. But go ahead about Chris.
Chris, I think that he does a lot of like forward things in terms of like handling the ball a little bit, shooting a three ball, all that type of stuff. But he's not necessarily like good at those things. I don't think he's good at handling the ball. He shot well from three last year, but his touch around the rim isn't good. I think from the numbers I had last year, he shot around 47% from two last
Yes,
year at Link. Not great. I think he's a really good athlete. I think that he's a really good rebounder. But I think he leaves a lot to be desired on the defense end as well. So he's like
I agree.
he's a tweener big. He's not a five. He's not a four. And so I'm really he has to play really well. He has to be really productive to move my board. Kind of like Asanuwa a little bit last year. And good rebounder. He's a good athlete. I mean, not trying to be too harsh. I think his feel is
I
iffy.
don't I don't disagree with you. I compared him to Marquise Chris without like the shot blocking because Marquise would. I think Chris Cenac is talented, right? And a team is gonna look at him and he's probably gonna shoot well because he can. It's like I think he can shoot and he is making shots. I don't like how Houston gives him the ball in the post because he has one move and he's always going to go and shoot a fadeaway jumper in the middle or he might shoot a turnaround jumper. And as far as him being a tweener, again, the rebounding is good. I think that's going to translate. But for somebody as athletic as he has like 4 blocks in 6 games. And then for somebody as athletic as he is, again, I know he's playing with JoJo Tugler, who was wiping everybody's shot today, but he shot like 4 free throws in 6 games. And it's like, I personally think that a team understands that long term there could be something there, but worst case scenario, he may be somebody who you can say, this dude here is an athlete who defensively is lost. We can agree with that, but he'd be able to stretch the floor and playing in a different system, or maybe he's a backup five where he can be a lob threat as well. I just
Is
think there's a lot of talent there.
I
He
don't I
just
don't
has to figure it out.
I don't know that he's going to stretch the floor though. I feel like I'm not sure
I
he
mean,
is.
he shot 37% on jumpers at Link last year.
Yeah, he did. He did. But like I don't know. It's like for me, for bigs that's going to stretch the floor, like unless you're shooting them at volume at a good percent, I don't think it's that valuable. Um, Also, like again, his touch around the rim is just not good. That's a really big problem. Like right now, he's shooting 25% of layups. It's a low sample, but if he's not dunking the ball right now, it's not a good look for him.
He
So
shoot. Oh, so his college volume right now, and they haven't. I don't think they've totaled it, but prior to this game, he shooting 46% from three on almost 3 attempts per game. I think he can shoot. I just think that Chris Cenac, it has to be either I'm shooting a wide open jumper or I'm cutting for a dunk slash catching a lob. Everything else, I don't think he's going to. I don't think those are. I don't think that's good for him.
yeah,
Just
he's shooting
because
64% from three right now in the half court. So I mean that's pretty good. Um,
I think he's a project, and again, if my thinking is Noah Singh was younger, but Noah Singh was a project. He still was a lottery pick. Like Tijon Salon was a project. Again, that was not the best draft, and he was a lottery pick. I think teams still take these guys, and if you want to go skill for skill, I think he is more talented than Tijon. I still like a Singe, even though he hasn't shown anything yet. I just think that a team is going to say, you know what, he's 6'11", he's a good athlete. We think he'll be able to shoot. We'll take him 12, 13, something like that, and we're going to trust our development, our veterans, and see if he can figure it out from there.
Yeah. They had some other draft guys. Jojo Tugler, excellent defender. Not, I think he's probably a second round pick. To be honest, maybe at best a rotational guy. I like JoJo though. I think this offense is just is awful. It's awful.
Yeah, down the stretch, it's just one pick, and then we pass the ball around the perimeter,
Yeah,
throw
I
up a
don't think
shot.
Houston's that good this year. I really don't. I don't think they're the third best team in the country. Um, they're relying on, I think, Kingston a lot as a freshman. Uzon is obviously, I think, really good. Sharp is really good. Um, but yeah, not the third best team in the country. I think they're gonna have to move them down pretty soon.
Oh, both they have a test. They'll see Tennessee tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. Again, for everybody involved, like I said, I want to see some. I want to see Houston. I guess you could say even though they did win, I want to see them bounce back. They have a pretty good test against Tennessee. All right, closing out tonight. I mean, there's games going on, but closing out the Spycast. Alabama, Gonzaga. Labaron Philon finished with 29 points, 7 assists. He had 6 turnovers, but he shot 11 of 18 from the field. My thoughts on Labaron Philon. I minus the 6 turnovers. Like he did everything except for turnover the ball. He did everything correctly. Like his pace, his feel for the game. He knows when to push the ball in transition. He knows when to get his own shot. He's got handles. He shifts. He's finishing at the rim at a very high rate. I think he's having a fantastic season. I think he's a lottery pick, and he made the right choice by coming back to school because the ball is in his hands, and he is the reason why that team goes. And I want to give Alabama their props. They'll play anybody, anywhere. They're not just, loading up on the low majors and mid majors. He's trying to test his guys, Nate Oates. So, LeBron Philon he's legit good. I think he's the second best point guard in this draft. I think Latif, he looked up. I think he disagrees with me, but what are your thoughts on LeBron Philon?
I mean, I have LeBaron at 14, but um, I think LeBaron has been the best player in the country this season. I think he's been the best player in the country. When you consider the competition that the Alabama has faced,
Yes.
his performance against those competition, he's been the best player in the country. Arguably, he's been the best point guard in the country by far. His combination of scoring and playmaking has been excellent, and the increased usage hasn't phased him at this point in the season. He has clearly really worked on his 3 point shot. That was one of the biggest steps in his development. His pull up 3 point confidence right now is off the charts. Coming into this game, he was shooting 39% from three on about 9 attempts per 100 possessions. That's probably going up now because he shot well from three in this game. Um, I think that his understanding of driving angles is really good. His craftiness is really good. His footwork is really good. And rim finishing in the half court was a struggle for him last year. He only finished at 44%, I believe. Um,
Yes.
Now that is way up. He looks like he put on weight. He's still providing you the two-way value. Um, I think if LeBaron Philon keeps this up, he's going to be the first point guard taken in the class. I'm sorry.
Taking him ahead of Michael Brown.
I'm not that bullish on Michael. That's you. Um,
Why aren't you bullish on Michael Brown? Man, you on my show, man. Tell me about it. What am I not seeing?
I got Michael at 7, by the way.
So you
I was
had wait, all right. So Mikel at 7, so was Philon 6.
no, he was at 14. I mean,
So
I
how are you? Explain
I'm
this to
saying
me.
like if he can keep this up, like Philon, he had his struggles last year. Finished at the rim.
Hmm.
Uh, he was really skinny, couldn't shoot. Like I'm saying, if he keeps this up, the play he's had right now, obviously he's gonna be PG1.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
We have
okay.
to get there. Um,
Thought you was
I'm
contradicting
not,
yourself, man.
no. I don't want to even let me not like act like I'm hating on Mikhail or anything like that. His dad, I think his dad actually responded to one of my tweets.
Shout
I
out to
said
Coach Chris Brown, man.
I said I don't think it's that big of a gap between him and Christian Anderson. And I mean that's in
I
Christian
think
Anderson. I think coming into the season, I feel like they had some of the same weaknesses, honestly, and some of the same strengths. Nuclear shooting, good passing. I think Mikel's a better passer. He's also bigger and more athletic
bigger
than
and a
Christian.
better finisher at the rim. I think that Shout out to my man Muhammad that put out the rim finishing stats, and
Is it?
Christian is
I'm not sure.
struggle.
Yeah, I'm shout out Mo, but I don't think that was true coming into the season. I mean, I think Christian Anderson it was on low volume last year, but he shot like 60% at the rim, and we know that Mikhail had the finishing struggle. So I mean, I think Christian Anderson was making it look like that at the beginning of the season. It was very low sample size. Now his finishing has tailed off pretty much. He struggled against length. So maybe Coach Brown was right on that, and I was tripping. He told, he told
I
me,
mean, you got to think though, and let's like move on a little bit to the side, like, and it's not a shout out or diss to anybody, but like when you dealing with like these kids, parents slash handlers slash everything, the kids that like a lot of these people are in the gym with them uh like all day every day, so it's like of course I don't want to say that they're not realistic, but of course they're gonna be like, hey man, you think this kid is as good as my person here? Like you're crazy, and I get it because when I used to train and I used to, feed some of my youngins some poster material and say, hey man, they think that this person is better than you, so I definitely get it. But ultimately, like I mean, I've talked to Christian Anderson dad before, and he's exact same way about his son. Like his son is the best player in the world. Then, and that's your kid. Hey, I get it, but as far as like Michael being number one, I guess just to make this make sense, Michael and LeBaron is going to be interesting topic because you can't necessarily say, well, I like Michael because he's younger. They're the same age, right? And that's perfectly fine. I have no issue with him being, an older freshman, sophomore age. Like you can play, you can play. But uh at this rate, it's like I think Michael is the better natural play. I think Michael is the best passer in this draft. I don't think there is a pass that he can't make with both hands. I can't say that about everybody else. I know you're looking up thinking about Bennett Sturts and the plays that he makes, but I think that there are things that Sturts. I
I
think
mean,
Sturts is very good.
being technical, Braden Smith is probably the best passer in the class. Um,
I
when we being
disagree.
technical,
I think Sturts' feel for the game is great. I think he's a very good passer, but I also think a lot of it is because of
Ben McCollum's system.
the offense. I think a lot of it is like the scripted. If we were talking about like a quarterback play, like okay, yes, Sturts makes plays. His feel for the game is great, but a lot of that is because of the system that he's in. Not a lot. Some of it is. Whereas I think just Mike Hill Brown is like, okay, I can beat my man off. It was the last game against not they just beat up on I believe Eastern Michigan, but Cincinnati. Like he did miss some pick and roll passes, but he got downhill. There's a guy right there. There's that play, but he can also make all the pocket passes when he shows you that against Kentucky. But it's going to be interesting to see this point guard conversation because I think Mike Hill's number one. You think Mike Hill's number one, but LeBaron Philon is there. Sturts is really good.
I have Bennett Sturts number one right now. Currently, I have Bennett Sturts at 6, and I have McKell at 7.
You're
Now,
taking Bennett Sturts at 6.
no,
We
this
talked
is
about this before.
which yes we have. This is a big board. I'm saying. Now listen. I'm gonna explain my thought process with Mikael Brown. Coming into the season. Now I did think that he struggled to finish. We know that he struggled to finish in high school. He
Yes.
I think he even struggled to finish in FIBA. He was just shooting really well from three. Um, I think that I think he's going to probably continue to struggle to finish. Now, he is getting to the rim a lot to begin the season, which is something I did not predict to happen. And he has proved me wrong pretty quickly with that. He's getting to the rim a lot, first of all. He's getting to the foul line a lot. Now, he actually got to the foul line a lot in high school. I think that's something I overlooked. But he's getting to the foul line a lot right now. He's been impactful when his 3-point shot is not even falling. So those are very good signs. If he continues to get to the free throw line, get to the rim, and finish at the rim, I'm gonna have no choice but put him number one. I'm not saying like oh that's like I'm like pushing back against him being number one. But if he continues to do that, I'm gonna put him number one. That was my main. That was really my only thing with Mikal. Get to the rim, get to the foul line, and you can be number one. That's all you need to do. He's
I'm
one of the best.
respect.
He's one of the best passers in the class. He's a nuclear shooter. He has a size at 6'4", 6'5". He's becoming a better athlete. Get to the rim, finish the rim. Now, I don't think he finished at the rim well tonight against Eastern Michigan, or whatever, or whoever they played. Um,
My man Mo put out the chart, and Mo has charted his half court rim field goal percentage at 69% so
yeah,
far. High
that's
Philons is at 62. Sturts is at 83. But his volume isn't like theirs. 83 is crazy, and they haven't played a soul, but he'll have his opportunities. And Christian Anderson is at 29%. We had talked about Kingston Flemings, who is at 90%. He did miss some layups today. Again, 90%. That's not sustainable, even though you can't really keep him out the paint. But I think I look at Michael Brown in a couple of ways. So what he did at DME was what he needed to do at DME Academy, which was he averaged what 28, and
mhm.
he got up a lot of attempts. He was flat out trying to score. But if you look at what he did at OTE, he was more of a playmaking point guard. And then it was like a combination of the both when he played for Team Loaded on the Adidas circuit. So it's almost like you have it's I'm going to factor in what he's doing this year and then kind of go back to see like his playing style because uh, I don't necessarily think no I don't think that him being a 28 point per game guy is what is needed from him, at least not for a while. Now if he ever turns into that, great. So I think when he's performing at that in that role, his volume looks a lot different than what you see maybe now, where it's just like, okay, yeah, he's still definitely getting up his attempts, but he's also understanding that okay, I got uh talent aside me. Like Louisville is a great shooting team. I can get to the paint and I can finish and I can pick and choose. And I still think that Michael is probably taking 2 or 3 shots a game that I don't necessarily think he needs to take. I think he may be settling. So it's like once he kind of like figures it out, I just feel like he's just the most talented point guard in this class. But there are other guys who are definitely putting in work too.
yeah, I just need to see him get to the rim, finish at the rim. I need to see how that progresses. Right now, I think he's at 66.7 updated. I think that game is over, so it should be
Yeah,
updated.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's long over.
Yeah, 66.7% right now in the half court, and the frequency is pretty good. Um, some people I've talked to compare him to Anthony Simons. What do you think about that?
I think he passes too well to be compared to Anthony Simons.
I can
I
agree.
think Anthony. I think you see the dude that the shot selection at times can be Anthony Simons like, which is off the dribble threes. But like to compare Michael Brown, who we think is a very good passer, to a pure combo guard in Anthony Simons, I don't think that's a fair comparison. I think that Mike Hill is still figuring out everything. I think his shot selection is that of a superstar in the NBA. I don't think his accuracy is there yet, and that's that's fine. I think he may just be his own player right now, who's still trying to figure out like what am I? Because again, I still think that his handle is really good, and he could be getting to the rim even more. Is what I'm saying. But I do think he settles for threes because he feels like he's the best shooter on the team. So it's kind of like he's still kind of trying to figure it out. But really quick, I have him at Adidas. He was 54% at the rim, and 21% of his shots in the half court were layups. So, like I said, the finishing is just it depends on who he's playing for.
51% isn't good enough.
I mean, when you compare 54% for a point guard, you would want it to be better, but I think Nate Ament was at like sub 45%.
No, I mean
Uh,
that's a very big concern for him. And
yeah,
I have a kill over that. So
yeah, I do too, and I've had it that way. But again, if we're talking about point guard finishing, then I would take 54% for a high school level point guard. Yeah, that is a good athlete. Not a good athlete turning into a very good athlete. But it's something definitely to monitor for sure, though.
Yeah, he's gotten off to a good start, so we got to just keep watching. I don't want to overreact to any small sample sizes, but he's showed up in big performances too. Like just Kentucky game, completely took it over. He's aggressive. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he has confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
He
he talks.
finished out that Cincinnati game for sure. I know he didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but down the stretch, he was the one making those plays and drawing fouls. So, like I
He got
said,
a bit of aggressiveness to him, a little moxie. You can see he talks smack. Like that's what you want. That's what you
yeah,
want.
for sure. Well, that concludes tonight, today, whenever you listen to this podcast. Like I said, I got my man Latif Love with me. You see, we agree on a lot of things, but we also don't agree on a lot of things, so that should be fun. We will be back tomorrow covering tomorrow's games, so stay tuned. James Barlowe, Latif Love, NBA Draft Junkies. We are out.